What's up, Cinephiles? For this episode, i-review namin ang Tayo sa Huling Buwan ng Taon, directed by Nestor Abrojena Jr. Now, kung bago lang kayo sa channel namin, consider subscribing to us for weekly reviews of TV shows, movies, or even video games. And also, leave a like down below. Kevin, what is this movie all about?
Tayo sa Huling Buwan ng Taon, or Us at the End of the Year, is the story of ex-lovers, Sam and Isa, played by Nico Manalo and Emmanuel Vera. So now that they are in their respective relationships, they find themselves being reunited again after 5 years. Now they have to go through their unresolved feelings. If you're not aware, this is the sequel of the movie Ang Kwento Nating Dalawa, which is available on iFlix for free. So I would highly suggest that you go first, check that movie, then after that, go see this movie. But Phil, your thoughts about this movie?
Kevin, una gusto ko banggitin yung mga sobrang strong points ng movie nito para sa akin. First of all, sobrang impressed ako sa filmmaking niya. Yung camera work, yung cinematography is a significant improvement from dun sa Ang Kwento Nating Dalawa.
Yeah.
And also, yung mga performances dito, most of it is really, really top-notch. Especially yung performance dito ni Emmanuel Vera. Yung acting niya dito, yung kanyang mga facial expressions talagang na-convey sa audiences yung nararamdaman ng character na yon at every specific moments. Now, as to yung sa story niya, yung Ang Kwento Nating Dalawa, I really love that movie kasi napaka-subtle lang niya. Nothing really big happens at very rare yun sa mga romantic films dito sa Pilipinas. At yun nga, dito sa Tayo ng Huling Buwan ng Taon, ang difference niya kasi yung first movie is istorya na silang dalawa lang. Talagang nagre-revolve lang yung story sa kanilang dalawa. While dito sa Tayo sa Huling Buwan ng Taon is pinakita na meron na silang kanya-kanyang buhay. Na yung oras na ito ay hindi na para sa kanilang dalawa lang because they have their own relationships na, meron na sila mga commitments sa mga future na gagawin nila sa relationship nila. And it's really interesting na makita how they try to cope nung muli silang nagkatagpo. And I'm really, really happy na hindi ito masyado naging overly dramatic tulad ng kadalasan na nakikita natin sa mga rom-com films dito sa Pilipinas. Talagang nandun pa rin yung subtlety nung filmmaking na to na show not tell really, except for a few scenes na talagang merong confrontational, but most of it talagang subtle lang. Parang napaka-natural niya na talagang it's going to happen in real life. I really dig this movie, Kevin, to be honest.
Yes, I agree. Yun nga ang key strengths ng movie, how it's nuanced, how it's subtle, and going in, I really expected that this will be the approach of the movie. I think maybe if you're not used to the indie scene, indie rom-com or indie romance filmmaking, you might get bored because this movie needs a lot of patience because it really takes its time in giving this slice of life moments, showing how those two relationships grow parallel side by side. It's void of the histrionics that we get from the rom-coms. The bits of information are embedded in the dialogue, how long is the relationship, how serious it is, and once na na-delve ka na nga doon sa family aspect, you know that this is a really long-term relationship. Yung tipong ang approach na ay sa marriage. Pinakita ng movie yung stakes. And of course, since ito ay sequel, it should not come as a surprise na eventually magmi-meet sila. And I agree, I like how they did that. I think the scene was shot on the Ayala Triangle, and I particularly love that scene because the camera angle is just revolving between the two of them, and all the background characters are just noises in the background, so you can feel the tension, the force that's attracting them, the awkward gestures, the awkward smiles, and the way that the camera revolves, emphasizing that suddenly the world stopped and it's just revolved around them. And you know, it doesn't need to have flashbacks. You know, all the feelings came rushing through. It is a very patient build up. The cinematography here, it's very meticulous and artistic. One can make a point na it's like watching different paintings with dialogues. Like for example, that beginning scene where it's just a simple scene of Sam standing in the hallway and you can see the lights being bathed throughout the hallway. It's just a short scene, but I can tell that it took them a long time to establish that shot because they were really trying their best to give out a picture perfect scene. I think what Nestor is trying to do here is he's trying to simmer those feelings that were boiling and bubbling hanggang nga doon sa third act where the conflict now comes and there's confrontation. So, yun.
Alam mo, Kevin, I'm really glad na na-mention mo yung mga moments of tension. Kasi kaya ko nasabi to na parang napaka-natural niya na parang real life yung nangyayari. Kasi alam mo yung mga casual conversations lang na mga eksena dito. Pero ramdam mo na merong underlying tension behind all of it dahil nga alam mo yung past nila and ramdam mo siya on screen kasi nako-convey talaga siya ng mga actors. I can't stress enough yung visual poetry nito. I have to agree, yung mga shots dito minsan it's looking like a painting. Bihira ako makita ng ganitong klaseng movie. I think isa to sa mga pinakamagandang Pinoy films kung frame by frame yung pag-uusapan na napanood ko. Kailangan ko rin pala i-mention na nagulat ako and medyo nalungkot ako nung lumabas siya on screen. At even siya ay maayos yung performance dito, I have to say. But if I have to get into some of my issues, meron kasi tong 3 pivotal moments para sa akin. I just felt na yung pacing leading up to those 3 pivotal moments could have been handled better. Masyadong ni-rush yung pangyayari mga pivotal moments na yun. It felt like na merong mga scenes missing in between bago nangyari yung mga yun. Medyo na-bother talaga ako dun sa pacing. Pero besides that, the acting, the story, the cinematography, it's all top-notch. That's why I still really love this movie.
Yeah, I agree. There are some pacing issues here. But for me, I'm used to this in this style of filmmaking when it comes to romance. When it arrived to the third act, which I find a little bit problematic then because the film took its time, its pace, then all of the conflict suddenly came through. That one particular moment where they're in front of that El Hogar building, they're talking about metaphors, and then when the emotions burst, maybe the movie took its time too long before reaching that point because by that moment, I think there's only 40 or 30 minutes left of the movie. So it has to do with the pacing issues. But I do appreciate that the effort they took up in building these characters, especially do sa mga supporting characters, yung character ni Anna and then yung character din ni Frank, because usually in these love triangles or love quadrangle situations, those supporting actors, they often get the lesser end of the stick, but you start rooting for these characters because they are well fleshed. I have to agree the acting among the cast is superb. The chemistry generated by Frank and Isa is different from the chemistry generated by Sam and Anna, and then when Isa and Sam are back. But if I have to pick the best performance, not just because I admire this actress, Ana Luna, especially that scene towards the end where she was on her tears, and it's such a powerful moment because I finally understood what her character was feeling. She was this person who's on the wrong place at the wrong time, and then she finds herself being alienated all of a sudden. In terms of technical execution, I have no qualms. Maybe it's more on the writing and the pacing that I wish they put the conflict sooner so they can explore more and hash out the differences. It kinda rested too much on the silences and the slice of life moments, which I like, but it's a little bit too much, yeah. I would just like to add, first film, there's a scene there I felt like was inspired by one of my favorite romance movies. I know you know this because we both love Richard Linklater's Before trilogy, and there was a scene there where they were walking on LRT eating siomai. It was a long track scene, and again we got that scene here. It's a party. I am really impressed how they handled that scene because there were some couple swapping involved. That's probably my favorite scene moment.
Same here, Kebs. Definitely yun din yung favorite scene ko. Yung scene na yun alone actually is the reason. But great executed scene. Kasi if you're gonna think about it, mahirap i-pull off yun. Especially yung spacing, yung spatial awareness ng director dun sa set na yun. It seems the filmmaking is just incredible. I can't stress that enough. The performances, it's great. Siguro kaya rin ako na in love sa kanya kasi set siya ulit sa Manila. Madumi. Ganun yung usual perception. And ang ganda kasi ng pagkakaportray na Manila dito. And I really dig that. With regards dun sa negative ko kanina, hindi ko naman sinasabi na hindi effective yung mga pivotal scenes ito, yung mga confrontation moments nga pala, just to clarify. I just think that the lead up to that could have been better. Pero yung confrontation scenes alone is extremely effective para sa akin. Now, tayo sa huling buwan ng taon. Is it as good as the first movie? I would prefer the first. That's my personal preference. I would rate this movie a 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I agree. When it comes to cinematography, you know that they really did a good job when you're seeing those places that's so mundane and not new to the eyes, but you're being shown of that place in a new lens, in new perspective, and suddenly it feels glamorized. It even feels like you're on the streets of Italy. Mga ganong effect.
Yeah.
I think I still like the first one. I have to agree. But this is the type of indie romance that I really enjoy. So I'm gonna give this one as well a 4 out of 5.
Okay, and that's it for our review ng Tayo sa Huling Buwan ng Taon. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel.
Also, let us know what you think in the comment sections below. Till then, guys, see you in the next one.
Bye-bye, guys!